Good morning, first grade. Or it might be afternoon. Who knows what time of day you're doing your work, but I just assume it's morning for some reason. So maybe I should just say, well, hello, first grade. Mrs. Taima here to do your first part of your reading lesson today. In today's lesson, you will be digging deeper into the elements of our story that we have been reading, Gilberto and the Wind. In part 1, you are going to review the characters and setting, and then you're going to take a quick break. In part 2, you'll come back with Miss Spears, and you will learn that not all stories have a clear problem and a clear resolution, but instead they have a series of events. Well, that is what happened in Gilberto and the Gilberto and the Wind. There wasn't a clear problem, but instead there were many events that happen in the story. And you're going to go over that with Miss Spears, because then after part 2, you are going to be recording a Flipgrid. Okay, you're going to record a Flipgrid to tell your teacher, to retell the story, Gilberto and the Wind, to your teacher. Okay, so let me show you really quick what that's going to look like. So you'll watch part 1 video, and then you'll come down, you'll do part 2 video. Then when you're done, you have this resource right here. Okay, you'll see this in the video with Miss Spears, and I've included it here to help you when you're practicing retelling on Flipgrid. We have the characters, the setting, events. Okay, you're going to click here. It says click here to record a Flipgrid retelling the story Gilberto and the Wind. Make sure to include all of the characters, the setting, and all the events that take place in the story. Okay, so watch part 1 video, take a break. Oh, why am I dark again? There we go. Then take a quick break. Then watch part 2 video, and then you will record your Flipgrid. And then there's one more part today, part 3, that you'll need to go and take a look at as well. And don't forget your fluency. Today, our fluency goal is, I can read with appropriate expression. There's more to it, and there's a little voice note here, but that is our goal, and that is what you're going to be practicing today when you read your passage, okay? All right, friends, I hope you have a really great day, and I will see you soon.
Hello, fantastic first graders, and welcome back to Wit and Wisdom in Sync. My name is Tanisha Spears, and I'm so excited to jump into our lesson for today. But before we do, let's make sure you have your materials ready. For this lesson, you will need your Wit and Wisdom in Sync journal and a pencil. Pause the video now if you need to gather your materials. In previous work, you had an opportunity to identify story elements and the problems in Gilberto and the Wind. And today you'll continue to think about what is happening in this text, as well as think more about problems and resolutions. But before we do that, let's think about the question that is focusing our work with this text. And that question is, how do characters respond to the powerful force of the wind? Now, I am going to present you with something that might happen, and you should use your face as well as your arms and your hands to show what could happen next. I'll say it one more time. I'm going to present you with something, and you should use your face as well as your arms and your hands to show what could happen next. Are you ready? The wind blows dirt in your face. What would you do? Did you use your facial expressions or your arms or your hands to show what you would do? I bet you did. You acted in a certain way in response to something that happened. So I asked you what you would do if the wind blows dirt in your face, and you acted in response to that. So you might have done an action like brushing the dirt off your face, or by showing a facial expression of anger or sadness? Now, let's go back and look at the focus in question for the text Gilberto and the Wind. And that question again is, how do characters respond to the powerful force of the wind? Point to the word respond. Repeat after me. My turn. Respond. Your turn. Respond. Respond means to react to something. So when we are thinking about response, we're thinking about how characters respond to the wind in this text. Now, the question that will frame our word for today is, what is happening in this text? So I want you to think, when you organize your thoughts about a story, what do you do? When you organize your thoughts about a story, what do you do? Think. Now lock it in. Here's what I think. When you're organizing your thoughts about a story, you're trying to figure out what is happening in a text. Is that what you thought? I bet it is. And one way to help organize what's going on in a story is by identifying the story elements on a story map. So today you'll be organizing or figuring out what's happening in Gilberto and the Wind. What do you notice about the story map that you see on your screen? What do you notice? What's different? You may have said it. This story map lists events rather than problem and resolution, and events are what happens in the story. Now, in Gilberto and the Wind, you'll be looking at major events of the story because the story doesn't have one clear problem and resolution. I'm going to read page 1 of the text, and I want you to listen for the characters in the story. I am Gilberto, and this is the story of me and the wind. Did you listen for the characters? Share with your learning partner or share aloud a character you heard in the story. Did you hear Gilberto? I heard him as well. Gilberto is the main character in the story. Now, what do you think about the wind? Is the wind a character or not? Is the wind a character? Why or why not? Share with your learning partner or just share aloud. Now, you might have different opinions about this question, so I want you to think about this. What else do you know about characters? What else do you know about characters? Here's what I know about characters from some of the books that we've read. Usually characters are people or animals, and characters do things in the story. Now, in this story, the wind can often seem like a person and does things like a person would do, like play with Gilberto. So that makes me think that a character can be someone or something, since the wind is described as if he were a person in this book. So I'm going to add him to the story map along with Gilberto. Now remember, the setting is when and where the story takes place. And now what I'd like you to do is share your ideas about the setting of this story with your learning partner, or just share aloud. Here are a few settings I thought about. I thought about Gilberto's house, the pasture, the meadow, the pond, or the fence. And I thought of those things because the story begins inside of Gilberto's house, but then it moves to places like the pasture or the meadow. And these places are all outside of Gilberto's house. So I am going to add a house with arrows that show outside and inside Gilberto's house to the story map.